Versatile.
Best. Recording my kids playing in the yard.
I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
I tried to hold it in, I'm sorry.
So I got the job at Frito-Lay in January of 2011. Prior to Frito-Lay, I was in the United States Navy.
Leaving the service, he just needed to matter. He needed to belong and have a purpose. We both thought he found that in Frito-Lay, and so we kind of centered our life around it.
I worked hard. I bust my butt every day, in and out. Because she didn't even think I was at work for real.
No, I did not believe my husband just spent 20 hours at work. No one would believe that. He's not a doctor. It's chips. It's chips and dip.
I went on a stretch one time of like 26 days in a row. Was using a dock door. You press the button and it automatically does what it's supposed to do. I got electrocuted. I was taken to the ER, but the emergency room they took me to was 45 minutes away. We passed 4 hospitals on the way to the hospital they wanted to take me to. And the reason that is because they signed a contract with a certain hospital and a certain network.
From the very next day after the accident, my husband was never the same. He was working really hard to even just get up on to the side of the bed. Usually he's like hops out of bed and he hurries up, puts his clothes on, and he shoves food down his throat and he's out the door, in 30 minutes. He was used to it. He was trained to do that in the service.
When I say I was healthy as an ox, I was healthy as an ox.
We just didn't have any answers. They said he should have been fine, but he wasn't.
I didn't get any time off after the incident. I had to call off the next day as a sick day. I told you I was in pain. I told you it hurts when I walk. And it was like, okay, are you gonna be here tomorrow? I was a site lead and I know what that entails. You're a leadership of the whole warehouse. So if you have to fill in, you have to fill in. I asked for some type of relief, period, because I was still obligated to work, like picking cases and unloading trucks or rotating product on a forklift. I asked for a chair that I could sit in that would make me more comfortable while I'm doing my office work. They denied it. You're either 100% or you can't work. It just felt like they was just trying to push me out. Eventually I got an MRI by my primary doctor, and he showed that I had 2 herniated discs in my back. And he was like, you shouldn't be doing anything. They could only fix it with surgery.
And my husband still had to work this whole entire time.
They had to remove 2 of the discs in my neck because they were bulging into my spinal cord. I wasn't getting enough fluid to my brain. If I didn't have the surgery, the doctor said any small fall or accident or something like that, and I would have been paralyzed from the neck down or dead. I still have to have surgery on my lower lumbar spine.
From the moment that he couldn't work anymore and needed short-term disability, Frito-Lay abandoned us.
I had to file for short-term disability and then long-term disability. Got approved for long-term disability, but that was months later. So no income coming in.
That's a picture of the car. We were driving.
They require you to go to the doctor so many times, and the doctor has to say that you're in this condition over and over and over. But guess what? You don't have any insurance anymore through PepsiCo/Frito-Lay because they cut you off. I had to pay for that out of pocket too. Didn't have the money to do that. So guess what? I borrowed money or used credit cards or whatever I could. I even took money out my kids' piggy bank.
The clip you just watched is my life. I mean, what he went through is what I went through. The main differences are that I was employed by the state of Missouri. I went 5 years without any income, and that's it. That's my life. I was fired while injured. I didn't have any source of income, couldn't get another job, couldn't find any gainable employment, and was denied any type of compensation. That's my life. So it's sad that this world is just so full of evil people who don't care about anybody but themselves. And you're just a warm body to them. And if you die, they wouldn't care. They'll just be trying to look for your replacement. That's life. But it's sad that Frito-Lay did that. Like, not only did Frito-Lay deny him compensation, they stalked him and his family. For what? The amount of money they paid out to investigate, to follow him, to harass him, they could have paid less to him just to get him back to the place where he could be a gainable employee. But did they care? No. This video, it broke my heart. I was crying with them because it's different when you know exactly how it feels, when you've been there, when you've been on the receiving end of stalking. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous the extent of what some people go through to oppress you. And look all of the awards that he got. Didn't mean anything. He pushed the button, got electrocuted, injured his neck, his lower back. And another difference is that he actually got treatment. I didn't. They refused me treatment. They gave me some physical therapy, but I had to, with God's help, rehabilitate myself until I was able to get treatment on my own that they barred. They were going from place to place. Everywhere I would go to seek treatment, they would go and get my treatment denied. I had one pain clinic that pretty much told me that if I tried to get treatment to certain areas, that I couldn't get treatments unless I closed my claim. True story. Which went nowhere because the attorneys were corrupted. They were bought and paid by the state. So, and I didn't know when I first watched this video that it was actually also in the state of Missouri. What's going on in the state of Missouri? Seriously, what is going on that you would harass innocent people because they were injured at a job? That you would harass someone and their whole family because they were injured at a job. It makes no sense whatsoever. And it's ridiculous. And my heart goes out to him and his wife and his kids. And I hope and I pray that Frito-Lay does what is right. Like his wife said, you are a $1 billion industry. People eat Frito-Lays every day. What was the big deal about just paying this man's compensation? Getting him the treatment he needs. It's sad. It's disheartening. Where's the morality? Where's the morality? In my situation, it really turned into a horror film. But I'm not going to go into the details. Not just yet. I don't know if I ever will. Because really, who would believe me? The things that I've had to go through because of a workplace injury. Who would believe me? It's ridiculous. And I hope and pray that his family is doing better. And I hope and pray that he gets his compensation. And that he gets what he needs to survive and to take care of his family. Because I really doubt he wants his wife to have to take care of him. He's the man. He said he worked 20 plus hours once. And he would constantly put in overtime. And his wife didn't even believe he was working. He worked so much. He was that dedicated to that employee. He was that dedicated to his employees. But when all else failed, they threw him away like he was nothing. He was just a body. If he couldn't come into work, then let's just fire him. Without accountability, these type of situations will continue to happen. They will continue to happen. The gaslighting, the gang stalking, all this harassment for what? Because you didn't want to pay workman's compensation? Is it really that serious? What is it really about? Because after a while you start to wonder, nah, it's more than that. Way more than that. More than people probably even believe. That's what it is. And without accountability, these people who with all this money and all of this power to abuse will continue to do it, because they probably pay, like he said, more money to the investigators to harass him and his family than they would have just to get the man back on his feet and back to work. Like, whose fault is that you didn't have your little button that he had to push wired correctly, or that it electrocuted him? He had to push the button. He had to push that button. And it cost him his life. He got electrocuted, fell, injured himself. And now he's fighting literally for his life. I pray for him. I understand. When I saw this video, I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this. Someone else. How many more? How many more people are going through exactly what I went through? I understand. I understand what he and his wife are suffering through. I understand. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy either. Because really, it's ridiculous how far some people will go to abuse their power and authority. It's ridiculous. Hopefully you learned something today. This world is full of sick people. This world is full of evil and darkness. It's not even funny. Why am I laughing like it's funny? It's not. It's not funny. It's mind-boggling. It's not. You know what? I've learned to laugh in the midst of pain, to smile in the regardless, to keep my head up regardless, because I'm a firm believer that we reap what we sow. And I may not always get it right, and I may not have good days all the time, but I do know that God is with me always. And I do know that we reap what we sow. Not in this life, If not in this life, then in the next. No one gets away with anything. Hopefully one day, people will do what's right. This world just full of evil, wicked people who only care about themselves, who have bukus and bukus of dollars, but don't want to pay employees just basic wages or to compensate them for injuries sustained on the job. I understand what the man went through because, I mean, to the T, the scenario. I tried to go back to work. I asked about a chair, if I could have a chair. They didn't want me to sit. I worked with people who were at times volatile, so we had to do restraints and everything, and so there was no way that I could have continued working in full capacity like they required, even though I was a supervisor. There's no way. There's no way. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. And I hate that he and his family had to suffer through that. And instead of following the crowd and doing evil, do what is right. And sometimes right is just staying out of stuff that does not concern you. And not attacking people who have nothing to do with the situation at all. Okay? Okay. Do what's right. Even if it's just staying out of stuff that doesn't concern you. That's it. Okay? That's all for now. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.